How you doing there, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Nexweave Show. Thank you all for joining us today. We have an interesting lineup. As you can see, we have some extra guests here today. I have some special announcements. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. Indra, let's go ahead and have you take it away.
Thanks, Bruce, and thank you guys for joining us again. We have some interesting updates coming in. We got a lot of inputs from the sessions that we had over the last 1 week. One of them was with Andrew's community, where they came up with a lot of ideas in terms of how Nextweave can be adapted for cold outreach with a lot of email platforms, etc., etc. So yeah, just to get started, we've been having conversations in terms of getting some integrations out. So in the next couple of weeks, you will get to see one chat platform, which is going to get integrated with Nextweave. You'll have probably a couple of workflow automation platforms so that you can see how you can connect a form to our platform and then send emails via that. And along with that, we know Christmas is coming up. So we are gearing up to launch the custom domains feature. And we'll have a few Christmas templates also added into our library so that you can use them to send greetings to your loved ones, to your acquaintances, etc., etc. That's there. Other than that, we've just started having discussions on how we can get into the Google ecosystem a little better. So some of you must have already seen the plugin in terms of how it can be used to send one-on-one emails using the plugin. We got some requests from Andrew's community as well as other communities on how we can do an integration with Google Sheets and send multiple emails using the same method. So that's again something which is on our drawing board right now. We're working on how that can be possible so that you can send multiple emails using Gmail itself if you're not using some other platform. So these are some of the updates that are out there. Good thing is that we've got Andrew over here. So I would love for him to also hop in and share some ideas in terms of what his community has come back with, what ideas he's got, just to get this the ball rolling over here.
Yeah, we basically, hey, thanks for inviting me on here. What we specialize in is doing cold email outreach. So Nexweave is a very powerful opportunity for us because of the next level of personalization that it allows for. So, we're really trying to give as much feedback and input as possible to make your tool as great as possible. A lot of our users are using all sorts of different types of cold email outreach. Some people might be using tools like Lemlist, SalesRocks, yet another mail merge, all sorts of tools like this. So integration is key. If the tool was to be focused around, if it would have the capability of doing cold email outreach, and the most important part of it is that we could send a cold email with a hyper personalized image. They click the image, it brings them to a landing page. On that landing page, it says, "Hey, first name," and then there's a video that pops up with their name inside the video. So it looks like you made the video for them, which, because it's new, will generate a lot of conversions right now. So that's what we're really looking forward for.
That's kind of like the holy grail, right? It is higher conversions on cold outreach. Mm-hmm. So for those of you, because I'm also going to be sharing this to my live stream too, personal stream. So to a lot of you who don't understand what cold outreach is, or for those of you who aren't familiar with email marketing, cold outreach is when you don't have an existing relationship with someone that you're going to be emailing, and the idea is to send them emails to attract them to an offer or a sale or a service that you're promoting. That's what we're referring to when we say cold email or cold outreach. So just FYI, guys, just to give you some context. So there we go.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's very interesting to see how Andrew and some others in the community have picked this up very well. We usually had a little difficulty in terms of explaining our other prospects in terms of how you can connect the dots and run this through. But yeah, looking at how Andrew has quickly mastered this, we are extremely excited on how we can make this better for this specific community as long as we are running this particular deal.
Yeah, this is our background, is the cold email outreach. So, typically we used to run about 30 Lemlist accounts. So we're happy to be transitioning into a different platform right now. So
Thank you so much.
It's about time.
In fact, that has spurred a lot of conversations within our internal team, considering that we were not really planning to go very deep in terms of the Google ecosystem. But now that we know a lot of our users might also be using Lemlist, it's about time that we start looking at how we can leverage the fact that most people would be using Gmail accounts for their outreach as well, and give them the options that you draft it once, you add some delays in your emails, etc., and then send it out. So yeah, I think by Jan we should have something ready for the audience that is using Lemlist, and maybe that solution would work as well as it does for them.
Okay, well, that's our show, folks. Thanks you for joining us today. There you go. Andrew, I had to put you on blast there because I know how you like to do your silent pauses. So there you go. Okay, so let's just jump right on in. Do we want to play with Google Sheets? Do we want to play, or Andrew, have you had a chance to play with Lead Hype, with Nexweave?
No, so we are currently developing right now. I'm just sure, just like you guys are developing. In about 2 to 4 weeks, we should be ready to integrate about 400 sending email accounts. So it's how it's going to work is we're going to be very working on our stuff, and then overnight we're going to have a gigantic feature request for you. You know, after setting 400 email accounts, we're going to be sending about 8,000 emails a day. So you know, we're that's why a tool like Nexweave, if we could turn a small percentage more of conversions out of those 8,000 emails, it's a significant amount of replies for us. So we're just getting that set up right now. And then we're going to start testing as soon as possible.
Perfect. Well, I know a lot of us are looking forward to it. Do you? I guess it's too early to say if you're going to be integrating with e-commerce, since I know a lot of our people have a lot of affinity for e-commerce.
No, mostly what we do is we do business to business sales meetings. So, you know, if I sent you a cold email, Bruce, and it's me, you know, waving to you, hey Bruce, or it's a picture of you next to me, you know, it's gonna say, hey Bruce, I love to hop on one of these Facebook Lives with you. Is this something that you would consider? If so, you know, check out the video I made for you above. They click the link, it brings you to a video. It says, hey Bruce, love to hop on your Facebook Live. You know, that's and then it has the video of my credentials or whatnot to say why we'd be a good fit. But now if I could find thousands of other people like you, I could email them all in one day, and it looks like, you know, I made a hyper personalized email just for you. So that's the novelty behind it.
Right. Yeah. I totally get that. Indra, is it possible we want to show someone that experience? Like, let's say from like a LinkedIn outreach?
Yeah.
Oh.
I could probably show some examples, which I've already covered in some of the videos as well, in terms of how that can happen. But I think just to touch on the point that Andrew mentioned, a lot of requests also came in on GIFs being introduced in the emails. So one of the announcements was that by early Jan, we will also be introducing GIFs. So
yeah,
instead of that image that mentions the name, you could also have a GIF that mentions that name, just to make it a little more interactive. And I think I gave a glimpse of that in the session that we had with Andrew. Let me probably also show others in terms of how an email with a GIF would appear. I'll just pull out my screen and show you guys very quickly.
Sure thing. Guys, do I sound a little bit better? Just testing the audio real quick.
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay.
Yeah, I think now it's significantly better.
Okay, cool.
So here's an example of that. If you guys can see the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so once the GIF feature is out, you could have a variety of GIFs which could carry initially the text on them, but very soon we'll also have some images on them. So you could have a GIF which is waving out to something which maybe contains a screenshot of someone's website or a logo or something like that.
What about holding up a piece of paper like this? I know a really powerful one is going like this. Let me see if I get myself in here. Is like this. Hey first name. But the trick is, if you hold the paper still, I don't want to get too technical on everybody, but I know that there were some tracking issues, or it's very complicated if you want to move the paper to track the hey first name on it. What are you guys doing regarding that, or what are your thoughts on that?
So initially, it might not be as smooth if you're moving around the paper, but in the roadmap we also have elements like object tracking. Once that comes in, it'll in due course of time just keep getting better and better in terms of tracing where you want it to move along with an object.
Yeah. You're saying that moving with the object?
Yeah, so a solution like that is going to require computer vision as well. I think I'll ask Ashutosh to answer that in terms of covering the techniques.
Yeah. So the moving would be happening in videos, not in the GIF, because GIF are like pre-rendered. But we are exploring things where even while rendering GIF, if we can have that motion tracking enabled. But for video, surely we can do. So we have also done some spike, and that we'll be adding it to.
In the actual video, you're saying on the landing
Correct.
page. So they click the
Correct.
GIF, it brings them to the landing page. Inside that landing page is a video where they could do something like that.
Correct. So it would be like motion. You can define your own path where the text should flow. So right now you can see the animations are like very linear. So it's either horizontally, either it's bouncing, or it's swinging. So now you can define even your own path in the animation, and your text or your object will follow the same path. So it can be any path, so zigzag or something like sine, cosine, curve, anything.
So those are elements that we are still experimenting with. I think of all the platforms that we've seen, it is slightly tricky because if you don't get it right and there's a bit of a lag in terms of the movement, then it won't just appear that natural. So for the time being, you'll have to keep the paper in one place and wave your hand.
Okay,
but eventually we have
that's still very strong. That's still very strong. I'm not even doing that right now. So if I was able to start doing that right now, it'd be very powerful for us.
Correct. In fact, I'll let Bruce invite someone whom you guys have also been waiting for. Andrew's poll had his platform amongst the top 2 in the list. So Bruce, over to you.
Sure thing. Sir, if you want to go ahead and give me the thumbs up so I can do your intro and we'll bring you on. Okay, cool.
Who we got here?
So guys, just want to let you know we have a special guest joining us today. We weren't sure if he was going to be able to make it on, but this is everyone's current new favorite, it'd be like email marketing platform. Let's go ahead and bring it on. The founder, Karsten of SalesWell. Hey there.
Hey,
Say hello,
guys.
Karsten. Hey.
Hey, Karsten.
Hey, Karsten.
Thanks for having me. Well, with the crew, we had a couple of calls already. Been talking to Andrew already, and I think like for what we've seen in the lifetime the community, I think the Nexweave has so much potential for different things, marketing-wise, sales-wise. I think for the last 2 or 3 weeks, we played quite a bit actually, to get it integrated also into our own sales process, especially like the connection with landing pages and the video automation we play with. I think some people have asked, like, for example, what we do in Salesforce, it works like for integrations. What we've seen actually how versatile Nexweave is really easy to integrate it. So you don't even need a deep integration. If you have your mail campaign or later with LinkedIn automation, you can just work with the variables. So this is something which I think for sales has like enormous potential. I'm thinking at some stage like automating the sending in messages, but also thinking about having a really short message in the drip campaign where maybe just have an image. I can then go link it up to swipe pages or the native landing pages. I have a 30 seconds video, which is more like saying hi. Then I can take the data, pull it from a screenshot from the Salesforce data or from the website, or I could show how something would and have an overlay and icon. So the combination of kind of the data we have putting together with the personalization, I think we'll be using that a lot for our internal sales approach. So really happy to see this lifetime deal here. And I think that the guys here also, I think Andrew is doing amazing with the feedback he has provided to us, but also to Nexweave. And I think like the community as a whole is going to enormously benefit from this combination.
We think so too.
Absolutely. I think Carsten and Andrew have been amongst the early adopters of the Nexweave platform. Carsten happens to be amongst the first 3 guys who bought the license as well. And it was very interesting to see how he was using the platform. I think he's mastered it as well as the people in the team. And the beauty of the 2 platforms coming together is that you have Carsten, who's already mining information from a variety of platforms to get information about the prospects. And that combination, along with what Nexweave offers, brings in a very strong combination where you can have data flowing in from there. You could have media assets being generated over here, and then plugging it back into SalesRock's funnel flows. So I think the combination, once the integrations are ready, is going to be extremely powerful. Both the users are going to love the fact that you can run around data like this.
Yeah. What I can do is maybe, I mean, I haven't prepared much, but I can just share kind of what we did internally. So I can actually share some of the things that we have done internally. So it's not a big preparation, but I don't want to go into the detail into our drip campaign. But let me try to share screen and just walk you through what we want to do.
Sure, please. Absolutely.
I want to see everything, Carsten.
This guy likes to pull as much data as he can out of you, so don't be fooled and don't fall into his shenanigans and trickery. Just don't. Just
I don't know. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we see it.
Not yet.
All right. So this works really nice. I think last week we were playing a bit. Also, I had a bit of contact with the integration with swipe pages, but also with you guys. So like support has been really, really great. So if people are here, like one of the things which I think I was overwhelmed with was support I received, because I was initially a newbie, but even landing pages I haven't done much work with. So which is quite nice. I can put here get.sales.rocks. To give you an example, in my drip campaign, I can just insert this as a link. I can replace the variables with the domain, with the company name. Later, what we want to do also have a screenshot in there. And then just something look and see in swipe pages, the name is customized. But then what I did, no fancy marketing video, and I'm not the prettiest person. So here's just something where I have a message, and then in here what you can see, Bitroom, which is the company name, and the logo. Well, it's not the prettiest what I've done, can be dynamically loaded. So imagine if you have a SaaS application or something, you can dynamically load in your logo. You could start the conversation with, hey, I took a look at your website. You load in your website dynamically. You can put it in for 2 or 3 seconds. Also having these personal messages here where you create a video. I did that in another lifetime deal. I think it's really nice. You have your first conversation outreach. The second link you send out via email, for example, could be something like this. If a person sees it, it's very on a personal basis. It's quite interactive, and I'm pretty sure response rate will be 40-50%. I'll get back to that after Christmas once we see this. In my drip campaign, I could customize the image as well to have that. So I have a customized landing page, a customized video. I can have an automated screenshot. I can have the logo, the company name. So this is extremely powerful.
Interesting one, Carsten.
I'm interested to see more, just FYI.
Come again, Bruce?
I'm interested to see more, just FYI, because that opens up a possibility for. That opens up a lot of possibilities. Yeah, exactly.
I think
I think the expression on Andrew's face says it all.
Yeah, well, my thing is this, right? So what's next? So, for example, Carsten, if
No, we're not following.
But seriously, so Carson's database has capabilities to generate personal data that we could possibly integrate into that landing page.
Exactly. So this is the thing that we're working at the moment. How we're doing is you would pull the data and you would, for example, you create the drip campaign. You have the variable that you can load in there. So we're working on that you have the variables available as a screenshot, the logo of the company. But later, if we use it with LinkedIn automation, we first go to the profile. We take a screenshot of the LinkedIn profile. We take a screenshot. We take the profile picture of a person. So imagine the kind of customization you can do on which level. I think it's going to be amazing. The other thing that we're looking into integrating is how we can directly integrate with Nexweave so that we can even allow the Nexweave community to make use of our data right away. So it doesn't matter whether you want to go via Nexweave or you want to go via Salesforce. Some people have preferences, but really making sure that we integrate with each other and we're just offering the community the best way of whatever they want to use to reach out to the audience. So
I'm also going to be listing up, and Carson, I don't know if you knew this, but we had a list of partnerships that we had been discussing regarding integration. So you were number one. I don't know if you knew that, but that was from last week's discussion. I don't know if you saw it, but yeah, those are the integration partnerships that Nexweave is thinking of rolling out with as soon as possible.
Textile, as I see it mentioned, I think the use cases in Textile are going to be amazing. When it went up, I think I stacked Textile with 20 codes, and I think this has been my best decision so far. Waiting for Nexweave to surpass it. But I think also when you think about automation B2C segment, for us it'd be mainly B2B segment, but Textile, I think it's going to be great for that. Plug and Pay, Bruce, we had a call last week about that one as well. I started playing with it for our sales process as well. So I think you're picking the right plugins there. I think Vic from Textile, he just released as well the LinkedIn automations in there. So I think I can really see the benefits that you guys are providing, kind of how the LTD ecosystem can really build something substantial.
Which I think is kind of what drew me and Ender working together, simply because he knew the format of how I was approaching the ecosystem was to come together as specifically that, a group of platforms that complement and benefit each other, right? So when you would look at things like everything from a BC, Plug and Paid, a Cattle, Nexweave, they were all meant to be used as an ecosystem of a product that fills each niche with full white label services, so that way you could have a reseller program that was involved, right? Carson, I know you and I weren't necessarily involved with your AppSumo launch, but that's specifically how we try to tailor our launches, so that way in the future, guess what? If I want to be able to have a lead generating system with someone like let's say like Nexweave, but they don't know what Nexweave is, I don't want to lose that client, right? Because I've exposed the name of the brand, because then they'll say, you know what, I don't need this solution specialist, I don't need this reseller, I don't need this agency, yada yada. I will just go and do it myself, because you've exposed the brand when you try to collaborate with your clients on some campaigns. That's why we ended up doing it, emphasizing the vertical of let's get reseller programs involved with agencies, because Plug and Paid has 4,000, 5,000 agencies that are part of their ecosystem. Anyways, that's how it originally started with. Knowing that Nexweave and Plug and Paid are both kind of like middleware, then we started branching out a little bit further, right? Into the both of you, Andrew, Karsten. And it just made sense that we just continue on with that trend to bring more and more partners in with each other. And it's just in like an ever-evolving process.
I think even a step further, I watched the previous webinar. Something we're planning on doing is, for example, then the custom links. Once someone clicks on a custom links, that you add your Facebook pixel and all these things. So imagine coming from a campaign, you send it out, they open it. In the meantime, you have them pixeled, you have the variables, and you can really as well start repixeling it. I mean, think of the whole journey from someone that you called, you do the outreach via cold. The other thing that we want to do is, for example, in Zoho CRM, I can connect the variable directly with the chatbot. So imagine someone comes on it afterwards, he has been on the landing page, he comes again. I can start up this chatbot. I can use once again in the chatbot on the website image personalization. I mean, the whole flow of someone coming back. I mean, it's so powerful. And honestly, I'm just getting started with the ideas, and I think we have the right people here on board, Andrew as well. So I think it's going to be really great.
Yeah, in fact, starting with chatbots, some of the discussion that we've had, all of them are going to be very exciting in terms of greeting someone with a personalized image as soon as you come on a chatbot, or maybe showing a pop-up as part of your onboarding sequence. Just introduce someone to the platform, give them snippets of how the platform works, have their names included over there, etc., etc. So if you look at the entire gamut of things, we're looking at landing pages, we're looking at chatbots, we're looking at pop-ups, we're looking at ways to get onto the landing page, which is emails, LinkedIn automation. So yeah, I think that's where some of the discussions that we had with Bruce about 8 months back was that rather than spreading ourselves too thin, getting into everything, let's focus on building a platform which is going to be fairly versatile and flexible, so that anyone who wants to use it in any of these formats will be able to just plug it in and then activate it without a lot of integration documentation or native integrations.
We always hope that's the goal, right? The more simpler the solution, the easier it is going to be for people to adopt it and to use it themselves. We always hope that's the goal. Obviously, that can't be the case every time, but ideally, I hope it would be. That way, we could look forward to like mass adoption, more and more people using the platform, et cetera, et cetera. Two things. One, I can't wait for SalesRocks' update that comes out this month, next month. Number two, there is something also to be said for Plug and Paid, is that they have a completely new marketing automation, which will roll out either also December or January as well. And that will include like drip sequencing, multi-channel drip sequencing also. So email, SMS, maybe even push notifications. I don't know if they'll have time to put that in. But the point is, you'll be able to have, with a CRM inside Plug and Paid with your lists, you'll be able to send out broadcasts essentially of things that you want to convert. And we've already talked with Indra about helping us out, when that module rolls out as well. So, yeah.
Imagine your journey is having personalization in various pieces. I think whether you look at funnels, whether you're looking at marketing automation, across the entire spectrum, whether it be acquisition or retargeting or engagement or winbacks, I think there are a host of possibilities in terms of how all of these elements can come together.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I even thought of this internally within our company. Onboarding of a person. Someone applies for a job. You send a message for an appointment. Imagine you schedule an interview. You send a reminder. Even within that process, imagine you as a company use personalization in there. Imagine you get those standard generic HR messages. But then there's this company which uses personalization, which puts things in there. I think as a company, by doing that, not just for sales and marketing, but also within internal processes, reminders, anything, I think is really powerful. And this is something like we haven't even thought of. I was just thinking last couple of weeks. So I think even HR, and there's so much potential. I think like image personalization or hyper personalization is just getting started.
I agree. It's not something that a lot of people are familiar with. Let's say even outside this bubble, right? Outside this space, a lot of people aren't familiar with what is hyper personalization or personalized experiences or personalized journeys. I mean, they're just starting to approach that. And I guess that's one thing, Indra, that you and I talked about from the very beginning, that taking it a step further with video, but the fact that Nexweave handles photo, video, and GIF, just take things to a whole new level.
In fact, I think Carson came up with another request of including stickers and
emojis. Yeah. I think I think in the sales messages, and Andrew might be the same. I think you can have the serious messages, but sometimes you also would like to go onto a personal level where you want to make fun of yourself, have a GIF at the end, because it seems to be kind of, if you've tried everything serious and you put something funny, non-serious, you make a joke about yourself, you use some emojis, response rate there seems to be amazing. So this is something I think, it shouldn't take too long. I tried playing with that, and Inna was really quickly looking at that, and probably this is coming up somewhere begin January. So experimenting with those emojis as well, having the GIFs. I think look at LinkedIn. What kind of messages are being sent? It's always very generic. So really adopting a data-driven approach, using hyper-personalization, different call to action, tracking, I think is going to be really powerful.
My biggest challenge as a user has been the funnel. I've been fortunate enough to get some of your screenshots of your V2, Karsten, and the campaign builder. Could you imagine, like, you guys have such a powerful foundation that, moving forward, building that foundation out using tools like Nexweave, integrating with it. There's a lot more different, I don't even know what you call them, the different widgets, the different different platforms that you could integrate with. The more integrated you could get with that, if you could, like you were saying, or someone was saying SMS. I mean, it's just there's no real platform like that out right now. You have Active Campaign, but it doesn't have the omni-channel.
I mean, think of this. You visit the LinkedIn profile, you do a send connection request, that person has connected, then you can check for the SMS for the actual mobile phone number that you can use. I think what we want to do is we want to have a very basic, from a very basic image personalization in there to offer, but we don't want to spend that much time into going into detail. If you look at the documentation of Nexweave, everything they have put together, we would never be able. So I think what you suggest, exactly that's what we want after. We would want to be able to give a basic option, but if you're really going to go the full level, we're going to integrate with a third party like Nexweave. SMS, yes, or even WhatsApp. Like you can think of doing this yourself. For example, there's a creation company, let me think, Infobip. They have drip campaigns as well with WhatsApp. You can integrate that as well. So think about SMS, and then once again with for example WhatsApp. Even there, you could think about hyper-personalization using images from Nexweave again. So this whole journey, why do you start with the basic Salesforce data? You pull more data. That data you can hyper-personalize with the data from Nexweave. I think like building the landing pages, retargeting again, having your campaigns, I think like it's going to be really, really powerful. And I think we're moving to a stage, even at some stage towards the enterprise level, where you really need to map on your whole funnel to set it up.
And that's been my challenge, is mapping out that funnel. And we're integrated with 10, 15 different SaaSes. We don't have one, and of course you could do something in Zapier or Integromat, but for the average user, it's very hard and complicated. You have Go High Level, which is attempting this, but I think that they're years away from being where they should be. And there's no real solid solution right now. So we've done everything custom. I have a full-time developer just for automation because there's no real automated funnel tools out there.
We had our two new sales development representatives. They were onboarded 4 weeks ago. I think they had 2 or 3 days of training. They're now using Nexweave to build up their funnels. They're using the image personalization, video personalization. They integrate that into swipe pages because Nexweave has been so easy for integration. So maybe in a couple of weeks from now, we can showcase what they have come up with. Someone who has like no sales experience and does it within 4 or 6 weeks, I think that would be great to showcase.
I'm going to put that up on the screen because I remember there has been some testing with swipe pages. I think we'd like to make it official with the team and have them come on too. That would be ideal. So if anyone knows the swipe pages team, I could use a hookup. Ender, did you reach out? Did have any chance to reach out or successfully to any of the founders in swipe pages?
I haven't been able to come across them as yet, but we've tested out swipe pages, we tested out Landingy, and I think all of them are working fairly smoothly. You can check our documentation as well. Whom I have reached out to is, I think, Pratik from botbaba.io. So since we are having discussions on how these messages can also flow into chat bots, into WhatsApp bots, maybe a conversation with him could be an interesting one. So I'll add that to the list. I'll check with him if we can have a discussion on how Nexweave can be used with bots as well.
Sure thing. Sounds good.
I had some issues initially with swipe pages, kind of the text that they had. So I think so far Nexweave the integration with the videos went really smooth. There were small things with HTTP and HTTPS that was resolved really quickly. It would be nice to look also at the image that can be included next to the video. The other thing I noticed, for example, you will have overlapping variables, and Nexweave uses var username. And notice if the variables are the same, they overwrite each other. So this is something I noticed. But for the rest, like integration has been really, really easy. I think for some users who are not familiar with HTML or some of the code, it might be a step. But I think swipe pages, from what I've seen, even the ratings I'm getting with the personalization using Nexweave, it's beyond 90%. So I think it's a great ecosystem that's being put together there.
2 questions. One, Carson, I think that's for you. SalesRocks looks interesting Ltd. That's from Cedric down there in chat.
I think for the time being,
there you go.
With SalesRocks, the lifetime deal is what we want to do is the whole focus at the moment is really on delivering on the roadmap. So probably in December, nothing will come up. We'll see when we are a step further, and it would be nice. Maybe we can link up with something with Nexweave as well. But this is something that maybe in the next year. For the time being, there is not. On the other hand, I think there are a lot of codes which are being traded. But yeah,
honestly, I haven't seen that many. I usually look in there for things that I need. I have not seen it that much, which means people don't want to part with it. And that's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing. They don't want to get rid of it because they knew the value in something they saw like Lemless back in the day. And a lot of those accounts were nuked. So, by the way, guys, just so people who don't know, Lemless has kind of been like an industry standard. If you need to do cold email outreach to sorry about that. If you need to do cold email outreach to, let's say, a list of people, you'd be able to send like 500 emails a day, and it would have like their name personalized on a photo and then their company logo. That has since kind of like been an industry standard since that launched a year and a half ago. So if you guys hear the word Lemless and you aren't sure what it is, I just wanted to give you some context. There you go. Okay, so Cedric, thank you very much for the question. There we go. Right, exactly. Here's hoping. I'm right there with you. Right there with you. Karsten, I'll take some agency accounts. There you go. So you know what, Andrew? We kind of have to talk about you too. Like, is there any play with? Well, let's go there. Is there any play with Nexweave? Is there any play with SalesRocks?
Mainly right now as a user. I would like to think of myself more as a tinkerer. So basically, we were very fortunate enough to stack I think we're at 40 right now, Karsten, 40 codes. So I think that's 400 email accounts, and I'm trying to figure out how many Nexweave codes I need to match up to it, and we're just going to be sending out tons and tons of emails, trying to run multiple campaigns. The biggest thing as a user, and I have a couple client calls yesterday. I was actually showcasing some of the Nexweave stuff and SalesRock stuff to my clients, and what they're telling me, which a very good point that Bruce came up with, it's the biggest piece of feedback, is that they say, well, can you just do it for me? Can you just do it for me? So I know, Karsten, you were talking about how easy it is for a sales development rep guy. A lot of these business owners that are not agency level, or not enterprise level rather, just want it done for them. So we've been working on, well, how do we scale as a service? Hiring overseas assistants to do the manual work behind the scene. I think my point is there's a big gap still that needs to be closed, and it needs to be closed making things simple. And I do think that you're on track, Karsten, especially with your Chrome extension. I know that you're training people, how your sales rep guys, how to do it in 4 to 6 weeks. I just think that something to keep in mind is the people that I speak to on a daily basis that don't have a IT guy as their number two. I'm very fortunate to have a 2-year trained guy in automation that's been doing IT, and he's my full-time employee. So not everyone has one of those, is my point.
I had a discussion with Christian. Christian is a colleague of mine, and he's kind of really overseeing the whole drip campaign. So something that we discussed today is just really thinking about also building up some templates and whole drip campaigns. So what might be a really nice thing is showcasing examples where we have built out the drip campaign, but also we have used image personalization using Nexweave, having the videos. I think this is something where we haven't done much effort, and this is something that we want to put together. Someone starts, he already sees something that is pre-made. He already sees, let's say, hey, someone has integrated with Nexweave using API. Immediately during the drip campaign, show up a couple of the examples where you have pre-built drip campaigns. You just need to change the variables. You have things in there. Replace some pictures, and you're set. I think if you do that, it's the same in Nexweave. You build your image personalization, but also it will show you what kind of data you want to have. You could potentially, you can import data CSV, but you could also say a source, pull the data directly from Salesforce, have the list imported. Then in Nexweave, when they launch their drip campaigns, for example, being able to use the Salesforce list using our API and doing your campaign also directly in Nexweave. We could pre-build some campaigns as examples in Nexweave, which show the combination. And the same you could offer as packages, as some that if you think commercially and you say, okay, my focus is not on a SaaS, but I really want to have a business where I'm offering these things, that you put together these kind of packages, even pre-made templates or whole flows.
In fact, that brings up a very interesting one. Yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
No, I was just going to say, just to give people also context about Karsten and specifically his platform at SalesRocks, they are seen as almost like people look at it as an alternative to Lemlist. So there are a little bit more nuances, but I just wanted to put that out there just so people have an understanding of what is SalesRocks specifically. Go ahead, Inder.
Yeah, so coming to the point that Karsten was mentioning, we also had a similar feedback where some of the agencies would want to use it in a fashion where they would go ahead and get a production level video done, get a set of graphics done, which would be used as part of emails, and then package the whole thing as an agency service, and then offer that to their clients. So this is how you could use the whole set, which is orchestrated by us, which is why we went ahead and started giving the option of having agency-based plans so that people can start using it in that particular fashion. But the second point is that the way Karsten mentioned, if we can have some sort of a structure where, just like Karsten is creating funnels, we could have some templates being pre-formatted within Nexweave, where we can have some credit given to maybe the SalesRock platform creators or other creators, that these templates have been created over there with a cross-reference that not only can you alter the funnels which are there within SalesRocks, but you can also come back to Nexweave, alter the templates by a little bit over here, so that there's more flexibility in terms of how you can use them. We had a similar discussion with some people in the video creation LTD space as well. But yeah, they're still at an early level where the videos that you're making, if they have been made on a video creation platform, and if they make that as an open public template, then maybe you can edit the video, edit the Nexweave template, edit the insertion in the funnels, and that would just make it very easy for people to adapt all three platforms or two of those platforms or one of those platforms.
On that note, we do have a caller who's going to join us, probably going to ask us some use case questions. So let me go ahead and bring her on. Jody, go ahead and give me the thumbs up if you're good to come on. Perfect. Let's go ahead and bring her up. Jody, hey there. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Excellent. I was having a little bit of audio issue on my end, so I wasn't sure. I have, I don't know, 3 or 4 questions at least. First of all, I'll let you know, I kind of almost cried when I missed Hyperize. I fell asleep when it went off of LTD and didn't get it bought, but I'm kind of excited now because I think this is going to be a much better solution. So I'm glad I wasn't already implementing something else.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Are you integrating with Mooseend?
Ooh, good question.
Because Hyperize is already, but I would much rather.
Same here, as well as curated.co. Same here.
Yes. Yes, and curated also. Yeah, I should have asked that also.
Sure. So I'll start by sharing a very simple point, which I think most of the people who started using the platform, they've experienced. Uh, when you're using Nexweave, you don't really require a native integration with any email platform. However, having said that, we will still go ahead and check the MoveSend platform and try and create a document which explains how you can follow a step-by-step process to do that piece. So we've already integrated or we've tested in terms of how it can be inserted with MailChimp, with Automizy, with SendGrid, with a bunch of other email platforms, and we've not seen any issues coming up over there. But specifically, MoveSend is something that we'll test. We'll also test maybe the top 10 email platforms that are appearing in Andrew's list. He did a short survey last week, and he's got a list of requests that this is how we want to use Nexweave. So we'll add MoveSend to the list as well.
Excellent. On your roadmap, the call to actions are coming, the personalized call to actions. Are they going to be able to be clickable by chance?
Yes. So in fact, they are already there. If you want to have a video sent out to someone which says book a meeting with Jody, you could have the button being personalized for anyone in your team. There are going to be advanced widgets coming in the future, which would be more than just a CTA, which could be a combination of a short form or a branching question. But right now you have CTAs that can be personalized that are interactive in the video format.
Yeah, it worked for me. Actually, what I showcased before, it had the video button and it links and it's personalized as well.
Nice. Very nice. So you're going to actually be able to have a branching question that comes off from there, so you could potentially offer one of two services.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Will custom domains for image links and video links be on all plans, or is that just an agency feature?
So we actually were offering that on a 5-code purchase. But going forward, it's going to be on the agency stacks, which is 10 codes and upwards. With that, you'll be able to have custom domain links when you send out messages, even on chat platforms like WhatsApp or LinkedIn Outreach.
Okay. And on the accounts that aren't agency, there's some sort of a light branding. Is that correct?
On the agency accounts, there'll be no branding at all.
But on the non-agency accounts, there's some light branding.
Yes. So for all the people who buy the lifetime deal, we won't have any sort of a branding on the landing pages. However, the links, depending on what account you buy, is going to be either carrying our branding or the custom domain branding. People have bought the 5 codes in the past. For people who buy the regular plans, we will probably introduce some things which mention that this, like a powered by Nexweave footer at the bottom on the landing pages or something like that. But that's not going to be there for the lifetime deal users.
Okay. Those were my main questions, and I'm really excited to find out that the clickable CTAs are already available.
Absolutely. Try them out. If you're having any questions, we are around the corner. We are typically very responsive on the chat, so we'll help you out in terms of getting through.
I will definitely be hitting you guys up if I run into any snags.
Absolutely.
Can I have a follow-up question?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
The question that Jody had was a good one, was the branding. I think on the videos. So what I did, I put the video on the landing page, and then there is still the background logo. I'm not sure whether this can be edited. I couldn't find it, but I think this is the only thing that I noticed for branding. And I think once you have the custom domains and that is there, then I think for agencies it's going to be amazing.
Are you referring to the loader that comes on the video?
Yeah, the loader still has the logo. Yeah.
Interesting. So we've had some conversations over there that some users might want to use their company logo or company animations while it's branding. So that's something that we will discuss internally in terms of what options can we give in terms of the loaders as we tread along. Right now,
I totally agree. That was one of our concerns. I think it's like a pigeon right now, or it's some sort of
It's
some sort of graphic.
Isn't it like an astronaut that's like running
No.
slow?
Right now, it's more of an airplane that's moving around.
I think, not sure, Story Express, it was a lifetime deal. You could customize kind of the background. You could customize also the navigation bar. You can put a logo there. And I think this is going to be really powerful because it really looks like this is your own video player.
Yes.
This is one suggestion that I have having. And I think that would be amazing.
Well, that just makes sense. I had Dub build that out a year and a half ago. So yeah, let's have that extra layer of customization on the player. It just makes sense since the player is going to be like where everything happens. And let's educate some of the people out there because I have my friends and family watching too. Okay, so when you watch a video, the beauty on Nexweave is that there's a layer on the video of the player that allows you to add text as an overlay to the video, as well as like let's say a photo or let's say a logo to a company. So the beauty on Nexweave is that it makes your experience with the video very personalized in that manner because we're not personalizing the video, we're personalizing the view experience. We're not manipulating the video, we're just adding a layer of, like an overlay of text and of graphics and maybe a layer of personalization on top of the video, just so everyone knows that's how Nextweave works. So yeah, there you go. Jody, thank you very much for all your questions. If you have any more, unless I'll let you go.
Yeah, I think that was it for now. I'm certain I'll have more when I start sending things.
Perfect. Yeah, and on that note, I'll let you go. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you out there in the groups too.
Thank you for answering my question.
That was great. I love her. Always comes on with some good use cases specifically. Her and her husband. Well, her husband also does IT out in the center part of the United States too. So yeah, so those are always a good couple to bounce some ideas and questions off of as well. Okay, moving on, and I don't think we listed this in integrations. Did we also want to talk about how we can integrate Google Sheets with everything?
Yeah, in fact, at the beginning of the session,
you're gonna like that, Andrew. Yep.
So yeah, when we discussed with Andrew, he mentioned that a lot of the users are using their outreach options as Gmail. So right now the plugin is configured in such a way that you can have one-to-one outreach. While I'm probably interacting with someone on LinkedIn or sending out an email, I can introduce a personalized image which is connected to a landing page containing the video. But the conversations also started going in the direction where they wanted to send multiple emails from the Gmail account itself. So that's where we're looking at some other options in terms of how they're doing it, like YAMM, GMAS, and Mail Meteor, etc., etc. So maybe this Jan, we would have a modification to our Chrome plugin, which will allow you to select a particular campaign, pull out the variables from that campaign, push them into a Google Sheet so that you can upload details on the Google Sheet itself, and then schedule these messages or send them all by one or send them with delays using the plugin. This is what we've thought. We'll probably send out some mocks in terms of how we are thinking of the workflow to happen. But yeah, I would love to have inputs from everyone over here in terms of how would they want to use the Google Sheet functionality to send emails. So maybe we might be on the wrong path, or there could be some suggestions that we could take in to make this better.
Absolutely. Is there anything in play that we could take a look at now? Is there a direct integration, or is that something that we could demo or display for the viewers?
So as of now, we've not really structured anything. We've just had some discussions which are stuck on a drawing board right now. And this was the flow that we were thinking of. Select a campaign, pull out the personalization variables, add a few if you want, push them onto a Google Sheet, upload your data over there, and then come back to the platform and then choose either you want to send all of them at once or have a delayed send. And yeah, that could probably solve the problem in terms of sending these messages through Gmail. And obviously, we'll have to put in some limits in terms of how it can be used so that we don't risk the users getting their accounts blacklisted because you've sent too many of them altogether. So that's what we had in mind.
Yep. I guess the same would apply to Office 365 if you're sending emails, because both of them have the same limits about 500 emails a day, right? So technically,
Correct.
We should be considering the same limits for Office 365 users. And if we're going to have a Chrome extension, maybe we also think of that for people who use Outlook on the web. I mean, that's going to be
question.
Right. 50% of the user base uses Gmail. Well, 40%, and your average consumer pays more using Office 365 for software. I don't know if you know, noticed that, but so that means 40% of your users are going to use Office 365, but those 40% of users are actually more available, more how do I say this, more valuable per capita because they actually spend more money on revenue for software because they're in that space of usually enterprise corporate space. They're just used to paying for certain features or enhancements more so than your typical G Suite user. So that makes sense, right? That's a large user base. We would want to custom tailor the Chrome extension to work for that as well.
Interesting. I think I'm going to ask Andrew to run one more poll on his platform to just check how many of them are using Gmail.
Well, probably everyone is going to be using G Suite, or majority of the marketers do. I mean, that's their go-to. That's their go-to of choice.
Yeah, I would assume 90% of our group members at least are using G Suite or Gmails.
Yeah, not until Microsoft fixes all the headaches using their OAuth over the next year and a half. That's probably going to end up being the same. But where you're going to have a lot of your companies using sales specifically,
True.
Nexweave would be ideal for those customers, especially those that are heavy in the LinkedIn space that are outside of the marketing niche. Those are going to be your salespeople who are going to love to use Nexweave. I ask that because I'm in that category myself. I feel like sometimes I live in a little bit of both, so I'm acting like a G Suite user, even though I'm an Office 365 user. So I live in both worlds. I do marketing from an Office 365 account. So yeah, so having that Chrome extension kind of makes sense using it on both. We do have some callers. Let's go ahead. Natalia, if you're good, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and I'll have you come on screen. All right, perfect. Here we go. Yeah, all right. Thank you for joining us today. You have everyone here with you. You have the world with you. So feel free to ask away.
All right. Let's check mic. Everybody, can you hear me?
Yep, perfect.
Perfect. Excellent. I am looking at this from a perspective of sales. You got that covered. I think between WordPress plugin to Lemlist and all these guys, you got it. What about us who are more content creators? If my clients are more about delivering an experience that's a little bit more spiced up. So when I look at Nexweave, I think, oh, I could create a lesson or a course and it could have a little bit more interactivity. Am I also part of your audience, or I should focus at looking at this more of a sales tool?
Interesting question. And in fact, that's come up with a lot of course creators that how can we use the Nexweave platform? The beauty is that we made it fairly open-ended. So whether you are using it for sales and marketing, there are different use cases where for sales, you could have it plugged in with tools that we are discussing over here. With marketing, you could use other tools which are designed for mass emailing like MailChimp and yet run your campaigns. For course creators, since I have a background in the edtech industry for about 8 to 10 years, what I can say is that if you use the branching elements well, you will start addressing audiences in a very interesting way, because let's face it, in a classroom of 30 or even larger, you have some people who grasp concepts very quickly, whereas others might take a little longer to grasp them. A very classic example that I pick up is that if someone has answered a question correctly, he might not need to see the explanation how that question was solved. So you can jump him to another point and show him the rest of the course, whereas someone who's not got the answer correctly, he can see the entire explanation and then jump onto the next points. So that's one of the things which I feel is going to be interesting for course creators. And yeah, I think so far we've got more inputs coming in from the sales community. If we have more creators like you, we could probably have more discussions on how these can be improved. Bruce happened to introduce us to someone in the medical training space. So yeah, would love to know more about what you are doing and then see how we could suggest some things.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Most welcome.
So Radha, today I was just...
Guys, Josh, go ahead.
Yeah. So Radha, today I just saw the list of the people who registered on the platform, and around 20% of the people were using it for creating the courses. So they were just creating some videos where they were asking questions, and they were sending some images which was like frowning faces or happy faces. So based on the question and answers which they answer. So that's what we I saw like how the people are using it. So they are using it for creating a process.
Nice.
Which leads me to something, and I want to get Karsten on this one. Karsten, are there triggers based on external sources? Let's say someone adds a video to their Facebook page or to their YouTube channel, or they create a podcast, and then we could initiate, let's say, like drip sequencing and say, hey guys, take a look at my YouTube, and it's sent out automatically based on an external trigger. Then you have Nexweave personalization as part of that outbound outreach to attract more users back to the content you created, whether it be a podcast or video, et cetera, et cetera. That makes it almost like, as a content creator, you want to use Sales Rocks, maybe not for sales specifically, but for expanding, hey, I created content. I want to get a larger viewership to watch it. They're already part of my list, right? They're part of my subscriber list, but now they're more inclined to watch it because I sent them a personalized video, which could lead to higher viewership or downloads or streams, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so what we're releasing in beginning Q1 is kind of an API where basically if something happens, if there's any change, you can just add the contact details via variables to an existing drip campaign. So the two things, the triggers, we will have some triggers, someone starts hiring, someone has a change on their website, someone has added a new technology, has installed a chatbot on their website. We will monitor that, and we can create triggers for that. These triggers can then go out to the API and being added to the drip campaign. But the same would be possible if there are specific actions. I don't think we can, for now, we would not be able to monitor YouTube pages and all these things because we're more on the B2B space. But if there's an application that does it, then it would be easy there's an event happening, call that API, that contact is being added to the drip campaign, to an active drip campaign, and in the drip campaign, the personalization can happen.
I don't know of any YouTube monitoring. Usually when it comes to social, companies like to stay away from monitoring those because there's so many updates that occur with like comments that comes up. And I think there was a dabble of them playing with it inside Automize. There was a little bit of that inside Moose End, but I don't think anything ever came of it. And the only thing I can think of is someone creates a direct, like, connection between this person's YouTube account or maybe a URL of an iTunes makes sense, right? Because there's not that many changes that occur to it unless an actual podcast appears. That's kind of like the hard part, like the holy grail that's like missing from, well, not the holy grail, but it's an ideal use case that's missing to be needing to be fulfilled that I haven't seen really much in this space. If you're a content creator, there's not a lot of nurturing of your user base via SMS and email.
I think one of the reasons for that is
go ahead.
One of the reasons for that is that in the course creation space, the learning management systems which are implemented, they have a wide array of triggers themselves. Like I'll give you an example in terms of what we were discussing with someone in the edtech space. It's very common to see that parents sometimes don't know what their kids have been achieving because they are busy with their lives and the kids are picking up certain skills. So we were having discussions with another edtech platform that every time a kid has performed in a particular way, if you got a notification saying that, hey, Bruce, XYZ has scored 80% in his last test, give him a thumbs up. So that will start triggering conversations between the parent and the kid as well, that the kid will realize that, yes, my parent is involved in the whole process, and it will just make that human connection back again. So although it's a very different sort of a use case, we can identify more of these, which will just start triggering these kind of humanizing elements coming into the whole ecosystem as we move towards digitization. So that was just one example. There were others that they discussed, that why not we send reports to parents which don't contain any graphics, but just explain the numbers very well, that your child has performed this way in this particular test. These are the areas that you can help him with. So maybe the reason why other platforms will be able to pick this up a lot faster is because they're already configured with these triggers that you can harness using webhooks and then try to create content which is specific to those events.
Interesting. I could definitely see the use case with LMS for sure, especially if you're trying to attract people. We had this conversation, attracting people to new classes or to a new LMS university. That definitely helps. That would be like a coaching use case if you create content inside of a university. That would be a way to go. If you do, whether you do content and whether it's siloed away inside an LMS, that would be a way to do it. That would be a way to do it. So yeah, interesting use case. I think that one needs to be expanded further because I'm with you on that one. It's not a simple solution because I see that kind of niche being ignored heavily, right? But without that content creation, it doesn't sometimes help facilitate the sales that we're looking for. So I'm right there with you. I'm always looking for the next thing to help increase the viewership to us content creators. I mean, a lot of you guys know me. I'm doing 10, 12 of these a week sometimes, maybe 5 or 6 if it's a slow week, but I'm still creating that. I could use some sort of personalized distribution system every time there's a one scheduled in advance or post stream a podcast or a video too. So Nat, if you find anything, please let me know because I'm right there with you, and then we'll see what we can do about having Nexweave Sales Rocks involved with that.
Perfect.
Thank you. You have a good one. Contact me after, and then I'll hook you up too after the show. Appreciate it. Thanks. Bye. Dave, looks like we have another caller. If you're all good, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and we'll have you come on. Perfect. Dave, thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, everyone. I think my question would be geared towards like a Nexweave integration with Shopify. I'm a heavy Shopify user and e-commerce brand owner, and I'm just kind of wondering about like videos possibly being auto-generated on product upload or possible post-purchase kind of like thank you videos directed towards customers specifically. And then I guess a follow-up question to that would be like, if things are auto-generated, is it possible to kind of maybe throw it into like a B2B email campaigns, possibly through like Sales Rocks or something?
Very interesting question. And the reason why we got into interactive videos is because we had some conversations with people in the e-commerce space. And they said that a personalized video catches the attention. We've got amazing video completion rates with them. Why not add elements where they can also click and go to the product, complete a transaction, etc., etc. We are actually coming up with some integrations with Plug and Paid as well, where you'll see product widgets appearing within the video itself, just to move into the video commerce realm. But to answer your question, the simplest thing you can do in the e-commerce space is on a purchase, you can have a thank you message which contains a personalized video. That's one thing that you can do. The second thing you can do is that if someone has abandoned their cart, you could have the product selected, send out a video to them mentioning that, hey, looks like you left this particular t-shirt in your last purchase. Why not pick up a 20% discount and purchase it and complete your transaction? So you could pick up abandoned cart, you could pick up product recommendations. So we are exploring the Shopify platform in terms of what all we can make together. And if you are a heavy user of Shopify, I think we're going to hook up with you once again to see specifically what you're trying to achieve, and then turn that into maybe an example that others can also benefit with.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds super exciting. I think, because Shopify is really robust, and that also maybe would give you guys another avenue to kind of grow in, especially in this kind of, post-purchase thank you or upsell or these kinds of things. I know that there's a bunch of apps that try and do it, but usually it's always in a pretty hefty monthly fee for that kind of service.
Correct.
And I think it just makes sense. The e-commerce space almost kind of seems like a no-brainer, right? Especially if there was a Shopify app inside the Shopify ecosystem, that just makes total sense. I mean, there's really much brain power thought. I'm like, could this really help increase sales? Well, of course it could. Whether you're attracting people over to a certain Shopify page that's Nexweave enhanced, or you're doing marketing from your Shopify page outward using Nexweave enhancements on that outbound email, that's just going to lead to more conversions. Yeah, that's a total no-brain approach. We had talked about that before launching, about what kind of e-commerce integrations would there be. Having a native Shopify and WooCommerce just makes sense. It's just a matter of time, I personally think. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people love that personalization.
Yeah, and I think it just comes down to, what do you want the focus to be on? Would you rather have it be on, let's say, outbound aspects of owning a Shopify page as part of an email campaign, or do you want that done as part of a landing page or an embedded player once they come onto your site? What are you looking more forward? What are you looking forward to most as a Shopify owner, right? What part of the experience, the outbound or the inbound, that would give Inder and the team a good indication as to what they should put their priorities into first, because that's the purpose of us doing these lifetime deals. We tell the founder, this would be the ideal pathway, and I see this living in the space. I think this would lead to more conversions. So if you have an idea as to whether outbound or inbound would lead to more conversions, hey, the guys, that's what they're here for. They'd be happy to hear. Because if it works for you, chances are it's probably going to work for other Shopify owners as well.
Sure. I mean, I think, yeah, like you mentioned, the simplest would be on the outbound. Just that way, you don't have that kind of awkward, someone lands on your page and the name is wrong, like, hey, first name, thanks for coming, or, hey, like, unknown user, thank you for coming. That maybe would be a turnoff, because then the attention is no longer on the products. It's kind of on that sort of weird mistake.
It's on this joke, basically, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, first name. Yeah. But I think, like, for me, for example, I deal with like handmade leather bags, and usually when I send out orders, I also kind of include like a handwritten thank you letter. And I know that, for example, on like a post purchase, it might be nice to have a thank you, first name for your purchase, blah, blah, blah. And I currently have an upsell of like, if you're wanting anything else, here's another 20%. But I know that could maybe be beautifully done with being on a, the checkout page post purchase, and then immediately having a link to kind of add to cart and automatically finish paying, if that makes sense. Kind of like, I guess, one-click upsell, but with a personalized aspect. I could definitely see, like you mentioned earlier, with the idea of an abandoned cart sequence that includes that personalization. It might be kind of, it's kind of strange, because sometimes on Shopify people put fake names on the first, if they're just kind of price checking and going through like finding out what shipping costs and all that stuff are. So you do have that kind of a possibility of first name or DDDDD, which happens a lot. But yeah, I'm also just open to hearing other possibilities, especially in like the B2B realm.
So I think specifically for e-commerce, I'll share a couple of more examples. You can choose to have videos or images of the size that you want. So if you are constructing your Shopify page in a particular way, that you want to have a featured section on your site. So it might not include personalization, but it can be a small interactive video running on the top, which is highlighting them to do a particular action. So those are also avenues that you can explore, because we've been just having some early discussions with some advertisers on how we can have different ad formats being inserted in the video and the image space that can go into shopping pages or blogs or similar formats as well. So maybe that's another thing that can be explored.
Yeah, I mean, that might actually be really interesting, because I know, at least for me, actually most of my traffic is SEO driven, and so people tend to land on a blog page on my e-commerce store first, and so that might be kind of also a nice way of carouseling possible interesting products or something like that within a blog, and not even just the homepage of the shop itself.
That's correct. So
go ahead.
Yeah, so I think those were some of the ideas. As you explore a little more, maybe we'll also share a few more ideas in terms of how it can be used in e-commerce. There are interactive images down the roadmap. So you'll have an image with options available on the image that can reveal more data. So I think those will again be interesting for the e-commerce use case.
I'm gonna
Very
give
cool.
I'm gonna give a general one right now. Take a look at this. You could see how there's like, interactive elements on a screen. The no-brainer approach would just be, create a redirect. If someone clicks on the buy now button on an interactive element, that's and we say, hi John in the upper left or something. That's kind of like, again, using this as a generic example, that's the, low-hanging fruit. That's the simple approach. Personalized interactive video. They click on the item that they want to sell, and boom, you can take them as a redirect right to that specific Shopify page in your store. Yeah, that makes sense.
In fact, another interesting
sure.
part is that the variables can also be your product assets. So if you've seen that someone is going to be recommended these 3 t-shirts, you can have them plugged in as variables, which will appear in, let's say, a video template. So the video that I get not only has my name on it, but it will also have the 3 most likely products that I'm going to buy appearing on that, along with their price tags, along with the button, which is linked to their URLs.
Yeah, that would be very interesting.
I didn't even consider that. Dave, anything else before I let you go?
No, I think this is stuff we could kind of like ponder over all day. But
True.
It'd just be cool to start seeing, native Shopify integrations, and then the possibilities are endless.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us today. Ping me up after the show, and I'll hook you up. Thanks for joining us.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one, Dave. Take care.
Thanks, Dave.
And this will be the last one for today. Agni, if you're ready, go ahead and give me the thumbs up. We'll have you come on screen. Perfect. Thank you. Agni, hey there. Thank you very much for joining us, brother.
Yeah, hey guys. Sorry it's a bit late. I cannot be in my office. Mostly I'm doing these calls. It's almost 12 p.m. Where I am. So I hope you guys don't mind. I have to sit with my kids in a way. The reason I called is once this Carsten is here, and I've been a very big proponent of what he's building in Cellstroke. My background is mostly in open source tools, and I kind of deploy a lot of them. Mautic is one of the tools I've been deploying for a lot of my clients, and I've built a lot of infrastructure around that. My question to both Inder and Carsten is I put up a question in text is when you're connecting this logic in terms of like the delay. So say a person opens my email 30 minutes after I send it, and then there is a person who is opening an email after 12 hours. So with Nexweave, what I would like to achieve is that same messaging does not go. It's I can probably customize it. Like say if a person opens a email message, say 60 days from when I send, I want him to see a different message. So Carsten already replied, and he said that such logic is not possible. So I would be curious to know from him what is the challenges that he is currently facing, and for even the Nextwave team, do you have some modules to kind of have these things going on?
So if I understand that correctly, you want to have different conditions based on someone clicks, someone opens, someone does not do something.
And time is the variable.
All right. So if I can showcase how that works and how you can implement then Nexweave in there.
Finally, Carsten.
Andrew's been waiting for an hour for that.
All right.
I personally love what Carsten is building. I really support his tool. So for me, I personally got in this call because I really like him, like what he was building. Yeah. Please feel to show. Yeah.
So this is, you showed the screenshot before, and the error message came up because not everything was collected. So in your case, what you want to do is you want to have a delay of specific amount of days. So you have your first email coming out. For example, what it would look like is it would automate, for example, the email could automate the message. Let's say you don't have an answer. Then you have the delay that you can set to whatever delay you said. I think 60
Yeah,
days.
anything is fair game. Yeah.
Then you have the delay, and then you follow up here. Give me a second. The delay can be set here. Give me a second. Here should be the delay. So you can say, I want to wait 60 days in here. Wait for the 60 days and then do the follow-up.
Yeah, that is what I was trying to do. And I was planning to stack a lot of Nexweave personally, and I already stacked a lot of yours. So, but this is something I would love to achieve, like it's in my plans.
Yeah, I mean, this use case, what we can do afterwards, we can rebuild exactly what you said. We can integrate it with Nexweave. So here, Nexweave is also integrated already. If I look in the code and how it works, you can see we have Nexweave included in here. So that's fairly easy to integrate. Hit me up afterwards, and what we can do, we can showcase the drip campaign where we have that included, the drip campaign, and also Nexweave.
Fair enough. This just I wanted to communicate. No, I do not have any rush or anything. Not that I'm expecting it to happen. It's just that if you could build something like that, I think it would make like some of my plans a little bit easier. And I would like try to transfer a lot of my campaigns from my setup to yours, and that would be helpful.
So Agni, just to add to that, we got some requests like that where people want to have slightly different messages being sent out depending on where they are in the drip sequence. So there is a feature within Nexweave where you can clone a particular template. So if you want to have minor edits done, you can have multiple templates structured and then connected to different paths across the journey. So someone who's opening the email on D0 gets a slightly different message. Someone on D7 gets a slightly different message. So you can play around with that piece.
True. That was my goal actually, because say someone from my first offer, someone doesn't like, 30 days down the line, I give him a second offer, 90 days down the line, I want to give him a different offer. So if I can kind of personalize that to that person, I think the chances of converting would be a little higher. Again, it's not because I've tasted it a lot, but I was thinking that possibly could be a very transformative game in how I approach my clients when they did not convert in the first place. Okay, they came to me, kind of had a conversation, it did not work out, maybe some 10% discount, 20%, and then how it goes, like getting clients right now online, it's not that straightforward method and not a linear process. So yeah, I was thinking, and because Carson has all the setup ready, so one connection that was missing for me, I think for me to kind of deploy it at a scale that I wanted to. So because you were also here and Carson was also here, this is something I wanted to convey, and that was the primary goal of me joining this conversation, nothing else. Anyways, Carson is also doing a great job. Inder and Ashutosh, you are also doing amazing stuff. So I'm always happy. And Carson, more or less, because he's a fellow addict. So yeah. Okay, guys, that would be for me. If you find some value, and I hope I was not superimposing and everything, it's more like a feature. If you can develop, it would be really helpful. And again, it's 12 o'clock in the night. Yeah.
I think it's really good to showcase this one afterwards. The suggestion is great. I mean, what was mentioned earlier with Moosend, I mean, you don't need the native integration or anything. You can just play with the variables. And I think this is the power of Nexweave. I think it's nice if we can showcase it with your use case. I think that will explain to the community that it doesn't matter what kind of email system they're using. Nexweave can totally power whatever they want.
Exactly. And that is why I would like to use the tool to a scale. And I think not only me, many people will find it many useful. I'm talking from my perspective. I think many people can have so many offers going on based on this logic. So yeah, look into it. Time is definitely a variable. I think I was in a course of Grant Cardone, and he follows up people for like 7 years. Okay, so probably such people will also find some value in stuff like that. I do not follow up that much, to be honest, but yeah, I try to incorporate, like maybe a month or so. So that is probably my objective.
The 1 month follow up does make sense. It's just a logical
Yeah,
progression.
7 years is too much, and he says he follows the people to grave, and that is also not a good idea. So yeah. But that is how you kind of buy a jet plane and everything, like just putting it out there. Probably. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
guys. Nice meeting you, and it's amazing Bruce hosts these meetings. I understand the amount of kind of effort it takes to host something like this, and also for you guys to be dedicated to your product. And it's amazing. So thanks from my side at least. Yeah.
Agni, appreciate it, and thank you very much for joining us today. From last week, you still have to contact me, so ping me after the show, so I'll get you your code afterward.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Have a good one. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Agni.
All right, Karsten, I want to say thanks for sticking with us this whole time. Andrew, we have this Sunday to look forward to in your group. Guys, for everyone who stuck with us, we had like 20 people at one point. Now we're like down to a last few. So after an hour and a half later, thank you very much, guys, for everyone that was involved. Everyone who joined in the stream, please also contact me afterwards so I can get you your thank you freebies for joining us. Guys, before I let you go, anyone want to say any last few things?
I think that everyone on the screen between Inder and Karsten, they're the future of this this outreach, direct outreach, and I'm very grateful that you guys have spent the time to develop these programs.
We wouldn't be anything with people like you, Andrew, that put them into place.
I would second that.
Well, on that note, Andrew, what time is your live stream on Sunday?
I think we're probably going to do the same time, which is I know everyone's around the world. It's 10:30 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, which is -8 hours. So -8 hours at 10:30 p.m. EST.
10:30 p.m. EST, so it's 7 p.m. PST.
7:30.
Oh, 7:30. Okay, so 7:30 p.m. And then we'll give everyone access to your group. Let me get the URL and I'll pull it up. There it is. We'll put that up on the screen for everyone to join us. That's for Andrew's group. So everyone join in there too. And we'll see everyone Sunday at 7:30 Pacific, 9 p.m. India time, 10:30 EST. There you go. Cool. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us. Everyone be safe. Have a good week. Wash your hands. And we'll see you when we see you. Have a good one, guys.
Take care.
See you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Bye-bye.